Welcome back to Cash Budget Insights, where I'm working on seeing if this whole cash budgeting thing really works. I'm personally working on tracking every dollar using a zero-based budget due to my daughter's illness, as well as controlling some of my own personal emotional impulse spending on the really hard days. I would love to have you give this video a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe. That's a free way to throw a little support my way and help this channel grow. If you haven't heard it today, I want you to know you're awesome, valuable, and have a purpose. Now let's dive in. All right, so today we're going to be doing my cash planning worksheet, and this is part of my budget process I do every week. Now, even though we get paid once a month, which may be changing down the road, but for now, we get paid once a month. The problem is I really don't want to take that huge lump sum that we get in the beginning of the month all at once. It really helps me just starting out to divvy that amount up throughout the month. That way, I have a little bit less money that I am shuffling in my envelopes and a smaller amount to keep track of in each envelope, and it's just been helping me stay on budget. Now, I have had a couple loopholes with that where I've overspent in categories because I know that money's there, and that's probably not a great habit to have. So I may have to tweak my system, but that's what I've been doing for this month anyway, and I may tweak things next month. I've also changed up how I'm giving to all of my envelopes during the month of January. Certain envelopes I give every week. These are typically my flexible expenses like grocery, fun, miscellaneous. These are ones that I have a harder time staying in budget with, so I like to give myself small doses of money versus having, my whole grocery budget to manage for the whole month. It's been helping me stay on track and it's been working for me. Then I have some of these future planning, I call them like revolving door sinking funds. So they're things that I need to give to. I'm not really tempted to spend from these things. And for me, that's like clothing, haircuts, groomer, home goods, those types of things. I'm spending money in these categories, but they're not as much of a temptation for me. So for these ones, I'm only actually going to be putting money in them every other week. So just twice a month. And lastly, I'm changing up because I've added in savings challenges to handle some of my more long-term or bigger sinking funds. I've decided that once a month, at the beginning of the month, I give $5 to all of those categories. So I have 12 sinking fund categories, and then I also have 9 holidays that I give $5 to. Most of these have a cap on the dollar amount, so as soon as I reach the savings amount that's needed for those specific sinking funds or holidays, that'll be more money that I can put to my savings challenge games and help me reach other sinking fund goals faster. Hopefully that makes sense. So with that being said, this is just a part of my process of budgeting, and I have actually found it's one of the most important. It sets me up for success for the whole week. So I'm looking at my calendar, I'm seeing what I have coming up. The wonderful thing about doing your budget this way is you can move money around. It doesn't mean just because I planned out my money map in the beginning of the month like this, things are going to come up. Things are going to need to get moved around. And I think if we are too rigid with our budget and we don't allow for the hiccups of life to pull and move from different categories, it's really going to set us up for failure. So I'm learning to be flexible, even though I am a little bit of a type A personality. And, if I write something down, I just feel like that's the way it should be. And to be honest with you, every time we make a mistake, and I personally have made plenty in my budget already, that's okay. That is an opportunity for us to evaluate what didn't work and how we can do better next time. So I just really want to encourage you guys because it can feel really, really overwhelming when you feel like you haven't found the system that's working for you or you're overspending in categories. And I think the most important thing is just be consistent, show up every day, write down your transactions, and just keep moving forward. Okay, so like I said, I won't be giving to every single category this month, but what we are going to be doing is first off, giving to fun. And while we do this, I'm going to go ahead and just flip through my envelopes. Okay, so for fun, I actually have an IOU in here. I owed $35. So for the month, I had budgeted $100 for fun. And within the first week, we had spent $60, which is totally fine. But at the time, I only had $25 in my envelope. So when I went to reconcile some online transactions, I put this in here just as a reminder that I had to make that right. So what I've decided to do for fun is I'm actually only going to put $40 in here. And then I'm not going to give to this for the rest of the month unless I want to move some other things around in my budget. So for fun, I am just going to write down $40. And then I'm just going to write a little note here to myself. so that when I look at this for week 3, I can remember that I'm not contributing anything else to fun. So I'm just going to do 2 20s, and let's move on to grocery. Okay, grocery was another one I had an IOU in. So with grocery, I still owed $173. My reasoning for this one, not that we have to make excuses, but what happened was we live really far away from Sam's Club, and I had something come up that I was going to be right by Sam's Club. And I knew that sometime during the month, I needed to do like a Sam's Club haul, which is just like a bulk food store. I way exceeded my budget of $250, obviously, by $173. I knew that that money was in here, and had I known I was going to go to Sam's Club, I would have bulked up my grocery envelope to handle that, influx. But because I didn't, I'm going to go ahead and make it right for the rest of the month. So I'm going to grab my calculator here, and I budgeted $1,000 for groceries. I paid back $250. Plus, I owe $173 that I couldn't pay back last week. So I still have $577 in grocery to spend. So I'm going to divide that by 3. Okay, so basically for the remainder weeks, I can give myself $192. So that is what I'm going to budget for groceries for the remainder of January. Okay, so $192. So I will still be within budget, even though I did have an IOU come up and I had to make that right. So hopefully you guys followed that okay. Even though I did go over budget for my first week, I was able to compensate for the rest of the month to lower my weekly contributions to make sure I'm still not going over my threshold that I've set for grocery. And then for the denominations that I'm going to get from the bank, I think I'm just going to do 150, 20, which would be 170. Actually, I think I'm going to do 2 20s. I'm going to stay with bigger bills. And then we will just do our 2 ones. So that should be 150, 70, 92. Okay, so grocery is done. And I'm also going to write a note here that it's going to be 192 per week for the rest of January. Okay, next up is household. Household still has 25. I did not use any of my household money, which again is just for like toiletries or toilet paper, things like that. So for household, I'm just going to go ahead and contribute 25 like I usually do. So I'll write that one in here. 25, and we're going to do a 20 and a 5. Easy enough. Okay. Then we have our kids. All right, so for kids, this also still has 25 in there. So we will also do 25 for kids. So I did go over on a lot of, I went over on fun, I went over on grocery, but I think besides that, I basically stayed within budget on a lot of the other categories. Okay, so kids will get 25, and then we have miscellaneous, my favorite envelope. I'll say it every time. You guys have got to make yourself a miscellaneous envelope. Miscellaneous has 18 in here right now, and we are going to give a 25. I love my miscellaneous envelope. Let me tell you why, and I will always say it. This is going to help buffer the mistakes that you make and seriously keep you going, because I have been so discouraged when I overspend or I don't calculate something right. And when I can go in my miscellaneous envelope, even if you can only contribute $5, $10, whatever you can put towards your miscellaneous envelope, I really do feel like it helps keep you on track. And it's like an envelope of grace for the mistakes that you make. It can help cover categories you didn't think of, especially when you're just starting out. My first month, there were like 2 or 3 categories that I didn't even think of. And then all of a sudden, I had transactions come up that really didn't fit in any other category. Miscellaneous is a great rescue for that very thing. All right, next up, out to eat. So out to eat, we have 14 in here. Now out to eat, I think I want to put a little bit more in. We've got a road trip to some doctor's appointments. So let me see what I initially had budgeted for out to eat. I had budgeted 140, and let's see, I've already taken out 35. So I have about 105 for the month. I think I'm actually going to contribute 60 this week. Okay, and we will do a 50 and a 10 for 60 in out to eat. And that is because, like I said, the reason I messed up with grocery is I didn't plan ahead. for like what we had going on, which I kind of didn't know about the Sam's Club thing at the time that I sat down and did my cash planning. But I do know that we're going to be traveling. We're going to have to get like fast food or something for the kids. So I'm bulking that up to make sure I have money in there so that I'm not having to IOU every time, because that's going to get a little high maintenance. I don't mind doing it once in a while, but I'm not looking to do that every week. Okay, and then for gas, I only give to that once a month, so I'm still good on gas. Okay, the other thing that I'm going to be giving to this week is my savings challenges. I'm doing these every week. So for me, this is tying up some money, but not necessarily designating it to a specific sinking funds. It's a fun way to save. That's all there is to it. I'm having so much fun. I can't even tell you guys. I have enjoyed it immensely. And if you have the time to do it, I think it's really fun. If you're super busy and you don't have the time to sit down and carve out time to do, savings, whether it's like once a month or every week like I'm doing, that's okay. It's not necessary. But for me, it's just been really fun. And I'm all about 2024 bringing me joy and being fun. Being an adult is hard. So we have to find little ways and little things that, help bring some joy to our everyday mundane task. And for me, savings challenges has really been fun this month. Okay, so for savings challenges, I don't really want to have super big bills. So let me think about this. Okay, I think I'm going to do 3 10s. Okay, so that would be 30. So we'd have 80 left. I'm going to do 10 5s and I'm going to do 30 1s, which could be a terrible mistake. We'll see. So let me make sure that's 30 plus. Okay, so that's 30, 50, 30, 110. Perfect. I am going to write a couple notes on here for my next stuffing. I just don't want to forget. And I always refer back to these for the following week. So for next week, I did take my dogs to the groomer. They look adorable and they smell amazing. I'm at a -15. So I was $15 short of what I needed to pay the groomer. And I think that is all I need to remember for next week. So I'm just going to jot that down there so that I remember, even though I do have that in my tracker, I just want to have it here too, because I don't always get my trackers out when I cash plan. I try to, but I don't always. So this will just be a second place that I can visually see that. So let me go ahead and add these up. So we're going to have 32 1s, which will be $32. We have 10, 11, 12, 13 5s, which will be $65. And we have 4 10s, which will be $40. We have 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 20s, which will be $140. We have 2 50s, which will be $100. And we have 1 $100, which is $100. Okay, and then for our total, we are going to have, okay, it looks like $477, but I always like to do that twice. Okay, I got the same number twice, so I think we're good. All right, well, that is all I have for you today as far as cash planning. Again, this is just a piece of my budget process, which I hope to be coming out with a video going through my entire budget process. It has really, really helped me to fully understand how to plan my month, how to plan each week, and break it down so it makes sense. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If you hung around this long, I really appreciate it. It always helps me to see people consistently working on their budget, and that's why I'm showing up here all the time on YouTube to make sure you know I am in this with you. We're in the trenches together, taking time to make our budget, keeping each other accountable. I find that really encouraging. So I hope that you do too. And I will have a video up tomorrow after I get to the bank to withdraw this money and we will cash stuff together. So that's all I have for now. I'll see you next time.